Hello folks, welcome to another video. I hope this one finds you well. Yes, the old man has crossed over to the dark side. Literally, X-Plane 12 is pretty bloody dark, just quietly. But welcome to the first X-Plane video on this channel in a long time. Why am I back in X-Plane? I hear you ask. Or even if you didn't ask, I'm going to ask it for you. I could also ask, why are you here? But then we'd get into an existential crisis, and we don't need that. It's a flight simulation channel, folks. I'm going to tell you what's brought me back into X-Plane. You're looking at X-Plane 12, 12.0.8, Beta 3, dot the I's, cross the T's. I'm going to tell you what brought me back and where I'm at with my simming at the moment. And whether this has any relevance to you, I don't know. I guess time will tell, and you'll share your opinions in the comments. But I don't reckon I'm alone in where I'm at with my simming, just quietly. I have a feeling. Anyway, folks, I've got the engine started. This is the beautiful REP-ed Navajo by Coronado. They released this thing a long time ago, many years ago, for X-Plane 11. It had some issues. It still does. They haven't updated it. They'll never touch it again. Thankfully, the sim coders, the people behind the reality expansion packs, they have given it the expansion pack treatment, which is what you're going to see in operation today, and it works in X-Plane 12, as does the aircraft, which is handy. So it's cost me absolutely nothing to bring this aircraft across, and in fact to bring most of the aeroplanes across that I want to fly. It did cost me some money to buy X-Plane 12, but thankfully Steam, they're having a sale on X-Plane 12, and I picked it up for just over 50 Aussie, which I reckon is not a bad deal for X-Plane 12, just quietly. So we're going to go for a fly, folks. I'll share some thinking en route. I'll give you some thoughts around what I think of X-Plane 12. There will inevitably be some comparisons to the Microsoft Sim. There may be some comparisons to previous versions of X-Plane. It's my opinion, for what it's worth. And as we all know, opinions are like assholes, folks. We've all got them. And you're welcome to share yours, just don't be an asshole about it. Let's go flying. So welcome aboard, folks. Here in the beautiful, beautiful Navajo. One thing I should mention early on in the video is that I'm running stock in terms of the visual side. So there's no atmospheric stuff going on. This is stock X-Plane, stock scenery, nothing fancy. There is a texture mod, the Airport Environment HD or something, Mr. X's texture mod, I believe still works here in X-Plane 12, so I've installed that, but everything else is stock. I will share my settings during the flight at some point, for those of you that may be interested. I've been able to run, in my limited testing so far, fairly high settings, not maxed out, but fairly high, and maintaining 30 FPS. So I do have the FPS locked. Performance-wise overall, in the couple of flights that I've done, I'd say that compared to the Microsoft Sim, performance, I'm not getting as many FPS in X-Plane 12, but apples and oranges, I think, in some respects. I can't really compare the settings directly, but basically I can run unlimited FPS in the Microsoft Sim with my settings. I'm just getting a message there about the sparks plugs fouling. I just need to give it a little bit more juicy. Yeah, I can run kind of mid-40s unlimited in the Microsoft Sim. I mean, my graphics card absolutely hates me for it. So I don't. I kind of lock to 30, and I've locked to 30 here in X-Plane. Unlocked, I was getting about 40, but again, my graphics card was screaming for mercy, and so locked to 30 it is, and it's maintaining 30 pretty well. So that's my performance opinion at this point. So slightly lower in X-Plane 12, but again, apples and oranges, because I don't have a direct sort of, it's not like it's one for one like in terms of the graphics settings and stuff. But I will show my settings momentarily. We'll just get lined up here. forgive my sloppy taxing. It's handling differently to the aeroplanes that I've been flying in the Microsoft Sim. This is my first actual flight in this aeroplane in a couple of years at least. So we'll just try and get ourselves lined up here, like so. And what I might do is I'll just come back on the juicy a bit, and I'll just show my settings now. All of this will be time stamped as I talk about different things during the flight. Settings is this one here. Graphics. They look like that, folks, for what it's worth. So generally on the right hand side, I've just gone with all highs. Seems to be okay. And on the left hand side, I have gone texture quality max. The SSAO medium, when I sort of go too much higher, or the next level higher, my graphics card disowns me. Rendering resolution off at full res. Anti-aliasing, I can get it to 4 without having too much of a whinge from my graphics card, and I'm running 16 on the anisotropic filtering. The rest is as you see there. So that's the settings for what it's worth. And if you're wondering, I'm running with a 3070 graphics card, so not a shitty card, but it's also nowhere near the best card these days. But basically I only renew my equipment once every 5 or 6 years, so it has to do me for another few years yet, and it's treated me very well, not just in the flight simulation area either. So should we go for a flight? We're going to Pram, 45 nautical miles away. We go altitude over here, so we're running the GTN 750. This is by Reality XP, this one down here. Had to update that again, no cost. It updated. I don't think it's running the latest nav data, but that's okay, who cares. Should we go for a flight? We've got a light breeze from the left hand side. Let's do this thing. See if the old man remembers how to fly it. Spent hundreds and hundreds of hours in this bird back in X-Plane 10 and 11. Full power set, nicely done. Righto, there's 90. We can sort of rotate about there. Away we go. Oh, she wants to fly. Gear up and all that. Beautiful. Safely away. Now get Georgie flying nice and early, so we can take some externals, and so that I can free up some mental capacity to share some opinion. Come back on the old manifold, and come back on the props a little bit. There we go. And we'll get flight director engaged, we'll get autopilot engaged nice and early. And we'll change our heading bug, which doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to have to go down here. What happens if I select this button? We're going to heading? Okay, but I can't scroll the heading wheel. The heading bug, okay. That's alright. The autopilot panel in the nav is down. Hell. From that. Alright, so we are safely away. We can take one of these flyby things. That's what all the cool streamers do. I'm not a streamer though, folks. So stock scenery here, nothing fancy. Not running with that auto ortho thing. All looks too hard to me. I'm sure it's easier than what it looks, but I just cannot be bothered. Happy to run with stock and see what this sim's all about. Just come back onto that nav track. A little bit, Georgie. Thanks, mate. Pitch down a tad. We don't need to be gunning it. Climb wise, 1,000 feet a minute will do us. No altitude pre-select in the Navajo. Beautiful. Let me take another external for you. Oh, there we go. That's New Zealand, North Island of New Zealand, stock X-Plane 12. There's stock clouds. They look alright to me. Decent enough, anyway. So what's brought me back? One word. That word is curiosity. Curiosity. Wonderful thing that human beings have, and we are very fortunate as a flight simulation community to be able to explore our curiosity across multiple simulation platforms. I know that MSFS 2020 gets the bulk of the attention these days. For good reason. It's really, grown our community and our hobby tremendously, hasn't it? Not just on PC, but now on Xbox, and you've got 2024 coming, and yeah, it's done wonders for growing this hobby that we all enjoy. And so curiosity is what kind of brought me back. I'm sort of going an altitude hold there. Thanks, Georgie. Just come back a little bit on the juicies. Sort of run I don't know, probably a 30, 35, 23 or something like that. That'll do us. In heading hold, we'll intercept that nav track soon enough. Heading along at about 170 indicated. Great aeroplane to fly. Yeah, curiosity to see where X-Plane 12 had got up to. I've had the demo installed pretty much since it was released. Flown it quite a few times. I've actually flown X-Plane 11 quite a bit. You won't have seen that on the channel, but in the background, you don't see everything on the channel, folks. That's a good thing. But yeah, I've been flying it on and off, and tried the demo a few times, and then sort of saw a video. The universe works in mysterious ways. Austin, I keep calling him Austin Powers. Austin Meyer, owner and developer of X-Plane, appeared in a video. Austin being Austin, can only take so much of that bloke. What I will say is that I love his passion. Take another shot because I can. I love Austin's passion, but I can only take it in small doses. That's what people say about me as well. And I thought it might be time to sort of rejoin the. Oh, that's not a good view. A different view? No. How about this view? There we go. Might be time to have a look to see what X-Plane's up to. Coincided with the Steam sale. Here we go. And then from there, sort of thought, well, there's a few aeroplanes that I'd really miss flying as well. It'd be nice to fly them. This is one of them, the Navajo. There's a few others, and I might feature them in future videos. So curiosity brought me back. I love flight simulation. It doesn't really matter. I'm sim agnostic, what platform it is. I've spent more time in X-Plane than any other sim over the years. My X-Plane history, we go back a long way, back to version, it's 8 or 9. I've got the discs for 9, but I have a feeling that I flew version 8, but it might have been someone else's copy. Okay, that's a long time. When's that? 2000s somewhere. We might take a nav hold here, Georgie. If we can. No, it's not going to allow me to do that. Can I do a nav hold down there? And my autopilot panel is not working fully. Haven't done any configuration, just running with it. You connect your peripherals, and X-Plane assumes various settings, and I've just run with those. But yeah, go back a fair way with X-Plane. I like X-Plane. I like flight simulation, as I said, sim agnostic. And I think that's really important to sort of point out and to remind myself of. It's not one or the other. You don't have to take sides in flight simulation. As a community, it gets a bit tribal sometimes. There's a fair bit of aggro, and I just think, you morons, do what you enjoy. If you like the Microsoft Sim and you think it's the bee's knees, well, just fly that. If you think X-Plane is the best, fly that. If you, like me, and I reckon there's a fair few people viewing this video right now, you just love flying, then fly the sim that you want to fly. X-Plane has aeroplanes that the other sim doesn't have at the moment. This is one of them for me. I really enjoy. If someone brings a Navajo to the Microsoft Sim, I'll fly it in the Microsoft Sim as well. Just enjoy flying virtual aeroplanes. So do what you enjoy, folks. I might shut up for a minute because I could really use a bevy. I might pause the sim, and as we get closer to our destination here, share a few other thoughts for what they're worth. Alright, with my throat suitably lubricated. We're set up for an approach here, folks. Visual down to 1.6 at Pram, considering where the wind is. I think that's going to work. I thought I'd just touch on a couple of other aspects that come to mind. One, the interface, the user interface. For me, I prefer X-Planes over the Microsoft Sim. I'm very used to the Microsoft one now. It actually took me a while to kind of adjust myself back to the X-Plane one. But if I had to make a choice, I'd prefer the X-Plane one for what it's worth. And the old chestnut that is flight model. X-Plane aficionados like to talk a lot about the standard of flight modelling in X-Plane compared to every other sim. I'm not really qualified. I'm not a techie. I'm not. Austin loves this shit. I'll give you my opinion for what it's worth. All desktop flight simulators are unrealistic for me. The experience in terms of replicating the feeling of flight, the physical sensation of flight, it's quite simply impossible to do. And I don't have enough experience, nor do I really have enough interest to make a educated commentary on flight model. What I will say, in a non-educated sort of way, is that aeroplanes in X-Plane in general feel a little more fluid to me. That said, there's some aeroplanes that I've had in X-Plane over the years which fly bloody awfully. They cannot be anywhere close to reality. So I give Georgie a break here and go some hands-on and actually explore this fluidity myself. But yeah, as for the accuracy, I'm not going to get into the war. But as a generalised comment, the world does feel more fluid in X-Plane. I'll give you that. But there's some aeroplanes in the Microsoft Sim and in P3D when we were all flying that felt pretty good for mine as well. So, but in terms of, they've all suffered from the same issue, which is you're flying pixels on a screen at a desk. Although the peripherals have improved over the years, and obviously the fidelity of aircraft have improved over the years, it's still, you just can't replicate the physical sensation of flight. So realism's an issue no matter what sim you fly. I've got my little dog right now looking at me, staring up at me, wondering why I'm talking to myself again. So I'm reminded that this ain't real. But I'm very grateful for the experience that I'm able to have, sort of connecting with that aviator within me that I think is within a lot of us in the flight simulation community, whether we've flown in real life or not. There's just something about aviation. It's a disease, really. It's a stubborn mistress that just never leaves you. And we're very fortunate in coming to the end of 2023 to be able to scratch that itch at relatively low cost and very accessibly scratch that itch. So I, for one, am a very grateful old simmer at this point in my life. Almost down through 2. We've got 7 miles to run, folks. Runway 16. It's good to have the GTN. I love it over there in the Microsoft Sim as well. The free one goes well. So I think this one does more, but I can't be 100% sure. Runway 16 here at Pram. I don't mind the visuals of X-Plane. I know that people take exception to it. People said I'm done with X-Plane. I've seen a few videos that never flying X-Plane, and Microsoft Sim looks so much better. Yeah, scenery-wise, no comparison. Microsoft Sim is the one. Just no doubt about it. But in terms of the overall, visual appearance here of the atmospherics and stuff, good enough for me. The scenery is good enough for me. I'm not here as scenery is completely irrelevant to today's flight. That's not to say that it's irrelevant all the time. I very much appreciate being able to load the Microsoft Sim and have the world render in front of me and underneath me in a way that's more realistic than we've ever seen before. But that doesn't always matter, And what I see out the front, what I see on my monitor right now, is good enough for me today. The birds start to warm up once more as they sense an approach is imminent. Wouldn't be surprised if my little dog decides to also join them. They are getting quite noisy now, the birds. As we fly in a bleak base down onto runway 16 here at Pram, we're going to get, we are quite a bit high now. We'll take gear to help us get down. Can we land this thing? Birds getting louder and louder. They're a pretty good barometer. That's your 110 knots. Take that view. Beautiful city of Pram. Give us a shout out in the comments if you are from this part of the world, folks. Love to hear from you. And take this opportunity to say thank you for all of your support on this channel, whether you fly the Microsoft Sim or the X-Planey Sim or something else, whether you don't sim at all and you just happen to get lucky with the YouTube algorithm and old mate appears, your support is appreciated. I'll bring the props in. We're getting back on profile, I think. Down to 90 knots, we'll retrim for that. Yeah, it feels nice to fly. Nice light breeze here. I'd suggest that the vegetation density there is probably not correct in terms of real life. Getting a little slow now. We are high. But that bird is going to keep warbling all the way through until touchdown. Background sounds, feature not a bug here on the channel, folks. Runway 16 at Pram, here we go. About 90 knots, what we're looking for. Into the flare as we come off the power, holding off a little bit. Oh, we'll take that. First landing back in the nav after a long spell. Folks, thanks for coming in another flight. That has been appreciated. That's been a very quick look at the old man reconnecting with X-Planey 12. Probably will be some more X-Planey 12 videos to come in the future if you are so interested. But it doesn't mean that I'm exiting the world of the Microsoft Sim. As I said, sim agnostic, folks. Folks, stay well, enjoy your simming, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.